The CEO of a small private technology company sounding off on Google's advertising practices. Basecamp CEO Jason Fried tweeting on Tuesday the following. He says, when Google puts 4 paid ads ahead of the first organic result for your own brand name, you're forced to pay up if you want to be found. It's a shakedown. It is ransom. Fried also says that the company has filed complaints about trademark violations with Google for ads that use Basecamp's name in them. In response, a Google spokesperson said, our trademark policy balances the interest of users, advertisers, and trademark owners, and to provide users with relevant ads, we don't restrict trademarked terms as keywords. Now, Jason Fried joins us this morning from Chicago. It is great to see you, and we appreciate you being with us. Tell us what happened here very specifically so we understand exactly what was going on. Basecamp, you advertise on Google, and yet your ads were not showing up at the top. What was showing up at the top?
Well, actually, we weren't advertising on Google. We were just a normal business being
it wasn't even
found
yours.
on Google. Right, exactly. So if you were doing a search for Basecamp, it turns out we were the 5th result. And I'm like, wait, why are we the 5th result? We should be the 1st result. Like, Google wants to provide relevant ads that match user intent. So if you search for a brand name, you'd think you'd find us first. But it turns out we were the 5th because they were selling 4 ads ahead of us to competitors who are using our trademark brand name against us. And I just said, that doesn't feel right to me. Something feels off here. It's incongruent with Google's own stated MO, and it just doesn't feel right. So I got upset, and I tweeted something about it.
So, but just to clarify, when you put Basecamp into Google, and I'm doing it right now, at least for me, you do come up at the top.
It depends. So it depends on a number of factors. If you're logged in, if you're logged out, if you have an ad blocker, the time of day, the ad spend. So it depends. But on any given day, you might find out that we're the 4th result. So for you, it might be first.
The 4th organic result.
First organic result, but the 5th actual result on the page, because today Google ads look identical to organic results. They have a tiny, tiny, tiny little thing that says ad in front of them. Not advertisement, because that'd be too obvious. It says ad. And so we basically look like the 5th result. And that's confusing for customers who are looking for us, especially when they allow competitors to use our brand name in their web addresses as well. So it's just confusing, it's misleading, and it's unfair, I think.
So the 4 ads that were coming up ahead of yours were from what kind of companies?
They were competing companies, people who also sell project management tools.
Okay.
And by the way, I'm not against advertising. It's cool. But to use, to have Google
so these weren't camping
basically
websites that were talking about a base camp of some sort.
Totally. Yeah. No, these were direct competitors that Google would sell our brand name to and let them advertise ahead of us. Now, we've subsequently ended up buying our own brand name, and this is sort of the argument I'm making, is that Google's forcing me to have to spend money with them so we can show up first, ahead of other people who are using our brand name against us. It just doesn't feel fair. And I've heard from tens of thousands of people now on Twitter who've liked the post, and some of them who've reached out saying, like, I'm a small business owner too, and I have to go through the same thing, and I'm spending thousands of dollars a month just to make sure that we're found. It just doesn't feel right.
Okay, so what do you think the answer is? And I'm going to give you an example. I was thinking about this before you came on. Let's say I sold Nike collectible shoes, meaning old Air Jordans. Let's say I have a store and I sell old Air Jordans. Should I be allowed to advertise on Google for my Air Jordan collectibles and use the phrase Air Jordans in them? And should that be able to come up ahead of the true Air Jordans or Nike's website? And what's the answer? That's where it gets complicated.
It does get complicated. I agree. But what's interesting is that Google isn't complicated when it comes to using Google in your ads. Because if you try to put the word Google in one of your ads, they will immediately reject it for trademark violations. So they actually agree with me when it comes to their own brand, but they don't agree when they're trying to sell my brand to someone else. That said, the Air Jordan example is a fair one and a good one. My take would be, if it's purely a direct brand name, that they shouldn't sell that brand name. But if you're saying, like, used Air Jordans or, vintage Nike Air Jordans, that to me has a qualifying word, vintage, in it, which says it's not a direct brand name match, and that would be okay to me.
Fair enough. What do you think of both the FTC investigations, DOJ investigations that are going on into Google? Do you think this is that your issues relate to that in any way?
Yeah, yes, because this is just a matter of of concentrated power and dominating an industry and basically being the only game in town. So this is a small piece of it, of course, but it all relates to the same thing, which is massive companies that grow and grow and grow and dominate and concentrate power and then use their platforms against people, essentially, and force you to pay to play. There's no other way. There's no other way to be found, basically, on the internet these days except for Google. Yes, there's Bing. Yes, there's DuckDuckGo, and these are nice services, too. But if you actually look at your traffic refers, you see that Google is the primary and probably the only player in town. So the fact that they own that platform and they can essentially weaponize it and sell your trademarked brands against you, it feels like it does tie into antitrust issues to me, yes.
What kind of conversations have you had with the company itself?
They tweeted back to me basically what you already put up on the screen, like their policy, but it's a robotic response.
But nobody got on the telephone or reached
out.
No,
although but I did get an anonymous email from someone who says they work at Google explaining their point of view, which I just, of course, still didn't agree with, and I don't know if it was really true or not. But that's the only thing I've heard from them.
But you would advocate effectively for them to change the policy around using the names unless they have some kind of qualifier on it.
I think so. That feels fair to me. The other thing I would do besides that is simply to make sure the ads are more obvious. I mean, they used to be more obvious. This has been a change that's been happening over the years. They're clearly trying to confuse people because before, ads used to be on a blue background. They used to look different from search results, and now they look identical, except for this tiny little bug that says ad, which is really easy to miss. And not only that, the ads themselves can even be taller and bigger than the actual organic search results. So it just feels like they're trying to trick people. And that, whenever I see that, especially from like one of the world's largest companies, and then the shakedown with small businesses having to pay for their own brands, it just all feels wrong to me. So I would just say, like, let's pull back on this, let's dial back, let's make sure these ads are clear. And if you're going to allow people to search for a brand name, show that brand first, show the intent match first. That seems fair to me.
Okay, Jason, thrilled to have you on the program this morning. Thank you for coming on.
Great to be here.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you.